It's going to continue to change. And like I said, what we used to know is not going to be the same. Sony is eventually going to realize that they're leaving money on the table. And something, I've said this for years, something like Helldivers 2 is going to eventually launch on Xbox. It just is. It's a live service game. They want to make more money. They're going to launch it there. When it comes there, I'll buy it. Spider-Man 1, 2, and Miles Morales, it's sitting literally on a virtual shelf somewhere doing nothing, making not a single penny for Sony. If they made a triple pack for $70 and they dropped it on Xbox, they'd sell 10 million copies. Because Xbox gamers do in fact buy games. Not so much for PlayStation. That's just a fact. I don't have to reiterate the numbers. The numbers say that PlayStation gamers just don't buy as many games.
Hey, remember? I was by myself and I had that dream about the orange tree, but instead of oranges, it had babies on it. It is a baby tree.
Alright everybody, welcome back to another Xvault gaming video. Xvault here, and today we're going to go over your next dose of the salty batch files. And of course, the theme of things today is going to be, how are the Xbox fanboys dealing with the latest news? Are they running in shambles here? Are they crumbling? Are they just trying to make themselves aware? Or are they just sitting there reclusing back to their caves and living in that world of delusion? Well, we can pretty much bet that they're living in that world of delusion, so we got plenty of examples to go over here. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump to it. Alright, so like I was saying, what we're going to do is get right to the salt as usual. Let's get our first example here, somebody we don't normally feature, somebody that's living in the land of delusion. At least they were back in 22. This gem came my way. And of course from Holeshot BMX, of course. But here we have, anyone can make a rumor up and the trolls will spread the word. I've been sitting back and just laughing at everyone who thinks all their games are going to PS5. Switch, I'd bet my house that Fable, Gears, and Forza will never be on the PS5 native. It's interesting how he tried to kind of cover himself, right? Uses words like native and just the Switch, not the future iteration and stuff like that. So he kind of tries to cover himself, but unfortunately, he leaves that door open. We have PlayStation 5, and he does mention the Holy Trinity, or at least part of that Trinity, where it's normally Halo, Gears, and Forza. But here he inserts Fable for that of Halo, it seems like. But I would like to check in with this individual and see if he really did want to bet his house. If he did make that bet for his house, is he going to keep it? Did he make a smart decision? I would love to know, because as we do know, in due time here, very shortly, Forza is heading over to PlayStation 5 natively, and it will be going to technically the Switch 2. Hasn't been announced for that, but more than likely will be happening as well. So I like this, is interesting. And again, this goes back to a lot of previous videos, right? A lot of previous videos and comments and posts on social media that we stated what was going to happen. And individuals like this is why I'm featuring it. Individuals like this in droves thought everybody else was crazy about Game Pass, about sustainability, about the hardware market, about where Xbox was going to be in a few years. There was no trolling. Some of them maybe were trolling, having fun with it, but for the most part, folks like myself and others, we were just being honest. And here we are. Again, hopefully you didn't bet your house on that whole farm, because that wouldn't be a very smart bet. Maybe next time you should have a little bit more of an open mind and a little less deniability there at that point. So, but that being said, let's move over to our next one, because we do have quite a few of examples today. So I just want to bring this one up as well. And I'm sorry, the one before was not 22, 24. This one is actually back in 22, so kind of crazy. That was only a year ago, right? If that. But Avowed Countdown, by the way. Avowed Countdown, he changed his name, Curator. We haven't featured him in quite some time here, but as you can see, Xbox Series XS is on track to outsell the PS5 and fall behind Switch. That's with only Halo and Forza. Imagine how hard it will be to get Xbox consoles when Bethesda games like Starfield and Activision release on Xbox Game Pass. Xbox really is about to PlayStation, right? I don't want to say that, get that bleeped out there for monetization there, or demonetize videos, take it down, whatever, DMCA. So I don't want to say that out loud, but look how poorly this one aged. And then we're talking about back in 22. Just talking about random stats that were not true whatsoever. Curator was known for this a lot of the time. He just threw stuff against the wall hoping it would stick and become true. Kind of like how Anna Anson is. I don't go over a lot of their stuff. They've been pretty much ignored, by the way, but it's just interesting how they had such high hope. This was back in 22. This was 3 years ago, essentially. And yeah, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? We're almost 3 years removed from this, and look how much has changed. In the gaming industry and the landscape, so much changes from year to year, let alone 3 to 5 years. So much changes all the time. And for them to not understand what was going to happen is crazy. Much like the first example, only a year removed, and they didn't see that coming. Kind of crazy there, but you gotta love and see it. You gotta love. They've always been spreading misinformation. Always, you know? So kind of crazy there, but let's go on. Like I said, a lot of examples here, a lot of breakdown. But here we have Xbox Series XS, of course, spreading the good word here, and he thinks he has a W here, right? This is the value talking. We're talking, he states, Xbox Game Pass or eyes emoji. Talking about Doom, Expedition 33, Ninja Gaiden 2, South of Midnight, Avowed, Fable, Outer Worlds 2, Call of Duty, making that $70 a pop, totaling $590 plus tax with a face palm emoji. I mean, what are we taking away from here? Because everybody, I mean, nobody's going to sit there and buy every single one of these games, especially right away without them going on sale or whatever the case is. It's just not going to happen. Depends on what that release window is for sure looking like. But again, folks out there, the gamers out there that truly game and treat this as their main hobby are going to buy these games. This does not faze them. This is called a hobby. This is what you do, is invest in your hobby if it is indeed your hobby. If you're just a casual, nobody cares that Call of Duty is on Game Pass, much as we've seen with the subscription numbers barely changing. They prefer to buy it on their platform of choice, $70 and all, if not more, because of the deluxe versions with this, that, and the other. Much higher than $70, well over $100 and some dollars. They don't care because they're annual buyers of the Call of Duty franchise. Much again like we always compare with like Madden or FIFA. With the yearly releases of these games, they continually buy them. They don't care if they were on a subscription service. They want to own these. They don't want to worry about a subscription service when you're balancing 10 different subscription services, whether it be Game Pass or PlayStation Plus Extra Premium, Netflix, HBO, Cinemax, Hulu, Disney Plus, ESPN Plus, Sunday Ticket, all this stuff. How much is enough, right? This is why we're having the big boom, so to speak. And this is coming from somebody that used to work at DirecTV back in the day. And by back in the day, I mean too many years ago. But it was just, we had these earnings calls and we had these meetings and stuff that said, look, that's when subscription services were starting to turn and change and everything like that. And even then, before it started being this big thing, there was concern, like everybody's going to do the same thing, right? Everybody's always going to latch on, the companies, the corporations, and it's just going to be too much, and there's going to be fallout, and there's going to be some corporations that aren't going to see the success that they were hoping to see. Allah, here you go. Here we are in current times, and there you have it. But it's good to see how they're trying to find that win, right? They're trying to find it. It's pathetic. It's their last grasp, right? They're just trying anything to make something happen here. But found it really interesting. They're still clinging on to hope that they can change any other gamer's mind at this point in time that Xbox is not a sinking ship. But let's continue, because again, plenty of examples here. So next we have Snap Blast Play, right? This is pathetic. Now this was back a ways ago, but I did want to bring this up because this is what they were doing in the meantime. Whenever there was a big PlayStation game, right? In case you missed this, well, here you go, right? So my Spider-Man 2 PS5 review just dropped on Metacritic, and it unfortunately dropped the score from 90 to 89, losing its must-play badge. Sorry, y'all. Oh well, back to Starfield. Now, I don't know if his review alone actually did that. I don't know if he actually made a bad review on it or put a middling review or low 80s or whatever the case that might fluctuate this, but maybe he did. I wouldn't put it past him that he did something like that, because I'll tell you what, if there's anybody that's salty about Spider-Man, it's Xbox fans. They're still clinging on again to the fact that like we're not touching any PlayStation game. Doesn't matter how bad we want to play this game, we're not touching it. And as a matter of fact, we're going to be salty enough to go ahead and review bomb it, right? And this is what he says on the bottom, right? He goes over there, you can see the 40. I don't think it's photoshopped. Like I said, I wouldn't put it past him that he did do something like this as far as a user critic review. And yeah, it is unfortunate because for better or worse, Sony does look at these more so on the journalism side from, you know, IGN and Video Game Charts and GameSpot and all that stuff where they try to get those all-around user reviews for journalists, and they want those higher scores. They reward those studios that perform well and they get those good, you know, feedback review scores. It's the same at any corporation and company, right? Even the company I work for, they rely on a lot of surveys and reviews and stuff like that. We have to take that, whether it's partners, contractors, staff. It always means something. So this is their way, outlets, to see that in the public eye, right? So it is a big deal. So it's unfortunate when you have people do something like this. And again, shows the salt, shows how they're dealing with the success of what PlayStation is. I don't know why folks want to be upset over video games being great video games, or if a certain platform is doing well. Like, nobody really attacks Nintendo for that sort of thing, right? When they do exceptionally well and they have great games, it's this weird fascination with Xbox fans going after PlayStation all the time. Just really odd, but wanted to bring this one back just to kind of show you the coping throughout the years there. But let's keep going now. Just want to show this here. PlayStation is effed, right? This was hosted by Gaz. You have Clute, the loser there. You have Marius, which is a known weirdo. And of course, Ninzalo. He's also been hanging around here and there as well. But what's interesting is they do this. This is actually really recent, as you can see here, trying to make themselves feel better, right? Really recent, all the changes with Xbox. Now they put that focus on to PlayStation, right? PlayStation is ruined. They're not the same, this, that, and the other. And this is coming from Gaz, who's now an Xbox refugee going over to PC, right? But he's so fixated on how horrible PlayStation is doing. If PC folks were truly about the gaming and weren't part of the console war stuff, they wouldn't even care, because they are kind of getting the best of all worlds. Yes, they have to wait a bit longer for the PlayStation first-party games, but they're getting all the third-party. They're getting their own exclusives for PC. They're getting, of course, day and date for Xbox games. The only thing that they're not getting is Nintendo, but again, they're not attacking Nintendo. Why? What's the narrative there? Well, we know why there's a narrative there, because Gaz and Colt and so many others, Alex, Katanga, all of them sit there and go through this motion. It's grifting. It's appeasing to sell the drama. It gets the clicks. It does this. It does that. This is the breakdown. This is what they do. This is the nonsense that they spout, right? This is what they do all the time. Put that shift to PlayStation. All this work, all this grifting for nothing. PlayStation's still succeeding. They're still doing what they do. They're still selling. They're still doing well with their first-party games. It doesn't do anything. Wasted energy, but again, it's for the grift. But, however, let's keep this moving here. Now, I want to show this to you because I know we went over the 5 stages of grief for the Xbox fanboys. Remember that big old circle graph quite a few videos ago, and I brought it back a couple times? Well, here's another one, just kind of listed out a little bit. I just wanted to share it with you. If you want to take it, you want to screenshot it, crop me out, all that stuff, right? Xbox influencers watching Xbox games go multi-platform. This is like another side effect of that, right? Stage 1 shock. Wait, Starfield on PlayStation? Stage 2 denial. It's just a rumor, right? Xbox wouldn't do that. And these are all true, by the way, as we keep going here. And as we keep going, right? We're not done with it. We got stage 3, anger, right? This is betrayal. What about brand loyalty? So now they're getting pissed off about it, right? Stage 4, we're bargaining now. We see a lot of bargaining still from a lot of the fanboys, right? As you can see, Helldivers this, Helldivers that, Spider-Man, Final Fantasy, all this stuff, right? And it keeps going. Maybe if we all tweet hashtag Xbox only, they'll change their mind. Or take, for example, they're always tagging Xbox P3, which is Phil Spencer, Sarah Bond, Aaron Greenberg, all those guys trying to think they can change their minds and stop everything that's been in motion for some time, right? great bargaining skills. Stage 5 depression, right? At this point, some of these guys have moved on to this, not all of them, obviously. All my content, my identity. What now? Well, as you can see, the Colts and Alexes and Kutangas and all that, like we just talked about, they're going to continue to grift until there's nothing there. And I don't want there to not be nothing there as far as Xbox and consoles, but it's just not looking good. It's not looking favorable. I don't see, even with their next console, that it's going to do anything unless there's some sort of a miracle sauce that's going to happen to that. I don't see that. And yes, we're going to sit there and speculate that there'll be some sort of Steam component to it as well, and they can play the PlayStation PC games through that, and that'll help. And it's not going to change the direction the Xbox has done. And if that hasn't happened, it'd be the same thing, because you can do this with the Steam and the ROG Ally and your own PCs and laptops and all that. It would already happen. I don't see this happening, folks. Just being real, I don't see that happening. If it does, there's some secret sauce that I don't know, or some sort of data or something I'm just not seeing. But let me know down in the comments, obviously. And then, of course, Stage 6 testing. Okay, maybe I'll start reviewing multi-platform games, right? There maybe try to shift in other ways. You're going to see some of this when all said and done, if it does truly head that way, right? It's going to be interesting to see what kind of happens, right? And then Stage 7, acceptance. Fine, I guess I can be a gaming influencer now. So they're going to try to do that. And again, some are going to succeed at this and some are not going to succeed at this. And those I think that will succeed are going to be the ones that have accepted the truth, the ones that have been telling the audience the truth, and then they can garner that respect back. They can garner that trust back. That you don't have a content creator lying to you, that's not misinforming you all the time, that haven't misinformed you for over 10 years, right? I mean, that's the ones that are going to get hurt, right? We'll see what happens with the Colts and all that. But man, the misinformation, the placating, all that stuff, it's going to be interesting. But enough time on that. Let's get to a couple more here. Let's bring up everybody's leprechaun, everybody's favorite leprechaun here, but not really favorite because we can't really stand this guy. But this 3-foot guy, he's sitting here stating, fun fact, bitch of truth here, right? Microsoft's Kinect products sold about 5 times more than Sony's PSVR products. So he, of course, highlights the fact that 35 million Kinect 1 and 2 sold. So now he's combining both, Kinect 1 and 2s, right? And then he's combining 7 million PSVR 1 and 2s, right? So he has something here, he thinks. It's funny how the biased media was so quick to label Kinect a failure when PSVR has done abysmally worse. Told you all about that media, of course, with the 100% sign back there. The big part about this, if you don't know, you don't know. A lot of you probably already know what I'm about to say. Kinect was bundled with everything. It was bundled with every Xbox One for quite some time until it was done being unbundled, right? What are we doing here? I'm almost at a loss for words, because it's like, are you really spinning this? Is this what you're trying to spin? Is something that was bundled and half not working that well? We all know the reviews of Kinect 1 and 2, they weren't that great. They didn't function that well. At least you can say with PSVR 1 and 2 especially, that they function well. They did their job. And they did it exceptionally well. Unfortunately, the support wasn't there for PSVR 1, because yes, it didn't move the sales like it wanted to, like Sony wanted to. PSVR 2 doing much better than the VR 1. But again, circling back to the Kinect, it was bundled. It didn't work well. Nobody wanted it. The games were not fun. There was nothing great about Kinect. But yes, it's the media, the Xbox tax, the biasness, right? No, this is absolutely absurd. Why they're sitting there going down this path is beyond me. Absolutely beyond me. And of course, as you can see, he didn't want none of that. He knew better. You can see down below, if you're not familiar with X now, formerly Twitter, right? If you don't have those highlighted, it means it's only available for certain friends or mutuals to comment. So if you have that not highlighted, it looks a little darkened with the heart, the retweet, and of course the messaging right below there. As you can see, you can't comment. He did that on purpose. If there's any truth to this whatsoever, whether you get some backlash or not, it shouldn't matter. That tells you the whole story there. Again, liars, misinformation, grifters, whatever the case is. Little man syndrome, whatever the case is, it's there. Let's do one more for y'all here and just get to it, right? Brad Sands here, right? He's clearly an Xbox dude, but take a look at this, right? Sony shipping 9.5 million units during the holiday queue, while Xbox hardware dropped 29%, shows it's an Xbox problem, not a demand problem. Exactly. Jez has to chime in though because that burns him up, man. That makes him salty. Burns him up. He has to comment here. So as you can see, are they new users or just PS4 users upgrading? The growth trajectory is almost identical. The sale of a microtransaction in Fortnite is identical on Xbox One and Xbox Series X and S. The issue in the industry is that it's PC finding the truly new users, right? This is the shift. It's PC now, and that's where we need to find the user. All this stuff, right? Just trying to defend, trying to deflect, trying to make something a W or just not as bad for Xbox as a brand. No. Even Brad, major Xbox fanboy, even Brad's had enough, as you can see. Doesn't matter if it was PS4 users, the goal for Sony is to sell hardware. They are doing that at a rate consistent with last generation despite pandemic shortages. Exactly. He goes on, Xbox is likely trailing behind previous generation, but we have no transparency to definitively say, right? Which is also true. However, it is looking like that. The data that is available, it is looking like that. PlayStation is doing exceptionally well. It's barely behind the PS4 with COVID, with a pandemic that happened where there were shortages from chip shortages. So if you remember, Xbox had a deal worked out where they got priority chips, right? They got the chips first before PlayStation even. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I was reading. That's what I came to find out. Now, if that was not the truth, definitely let me know. Correct down in the comments. I'm not going to 100% say that was the truth. But from what I understand, they did have chip priority. And even then, they still couldn't do anything. Now, if they didn't have chip priority, still doesn't really change much of the story. PlayStation still sold very well. Pandemic happened. That's where they're at. Xbox is not. However, if the chip story is true, man, ouch, yikes. What are we doing here? So again, just want to share that little inner civil war fighting between each other there, between Sam and Jez, and I don't know if it's really fighting more than correcting, and maybe Sam even like, dude, look, the delusion's too much even for me at this point in time, knock it off, here's the facts, right? So that goes a long ways, that says a lot. But that being said, like I said, I want to get to more. We have plenty of examples going forward as well. It just doesn't stop. But again, this is how they're trying to break everything down. They're trying to play defender mode, right? Ultimately, they're all falling apart, in shambles, assault's there. The pain is real, unfortunately, but they still don't want to move on. What stage are they in, right? What stage of acceptance or grief or anger or depression or whatever are they in at this point in time? It's really interesting to see them break down. I like that psychological aspect of it, so that does help with the Salty Batch Files here. That being said, we'll wrap up the video here, folks. I really appreciate it. If you haven't already, definitely leave a like, comment down below. Would love to hear from you. Again, anything I said, would love to hear from you. I know you guys are great at doing that as well, so I love it. So thank you again. Your support's been amazing, of course. Working on that 3,500 subscriber goal. I know we're going to get there in no time because you guys are absolutely phenomenal. A lot of new users coming through, seeing it. All the old, all the new, all the future. Thank you all so much. If you haven't already, definitely consider subscribing, helping out a small content creator like myself. If you do enjoy the truth, you do want to see more, that will definitely help out this channel. So thank you so much. And of course, at the end of the day, I always just want you to remember, don't be a salty batch. And we'll see y'all next time on the next Xvault Gaming video. And until then, take care.